Hello and welcome to Mary Jane Markets. My name is Mo Rahim, and this is a podcast covering the North American cannabis sector from the viewpoint of a long-term value and growth investor. I cover the developing market landscape as well as a few operators. For now, those are Cresco Labs, Trulieve, Green Thumb Industries, and Trulieve. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I cover the recent news that is pertinent to investors and offer my analysis. To that end, today is July 26th, 2021, and we will be talking about the decision this weekend over the first Georgia licenses, a little more information coming out of New York as to what's going on with the delays in their program, some progress being made in Florida by GTI, and some more information pertaining to Trulieve CEO Kim Rivers and the ongoing trial in Florida. But first, take a look at the market today. An uneventful day with most everyone within plus or minus 1%. Expect more of the same this week with things picking up into the August earnings season. We're going to have a couple weeks there in August where the market is going to have to digest a lot of information with everyone's earnings coming out. All right, first topic for discussion today is the licenses that were awarded in the state of Georgia on Saturday. We've talked about this a bit last week, and I've changed my tone on it a bit. As a reminder, Georgia is a MMJ only, low THC only state, which of course means only CBD. If any of you were on the Zoom call on Saturday, I hope you were getting better audio than I was. Anyway, luckily, the state commission has released some documents. So let's first look at this email I received from them. This gives a nice overview if you're out of the loop. So, this Saturday, the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Commission announced during their public hearing the notice of intent to award 6 Class 1 and Class 2 production licenses to manufacture low THC cannabis oil for medical use in Georgia. Now that's 6 in total, 2 Class 1 and 4 Class 2 production licenses. Those classes are virtually the same, except Class 1 is awarded with 100,000 square feet of grow space, while Class 2 is limited to 50,000 square feet. This email also says that there were 69 applicants, so strong interest in the state program. If we hop over to their meetings page, they released documentation like I mentioned. This is the same link I shared out in my other videos, but I'll drop it below too. You can watch the recording if you wish. I don't think you'll get too much more out of it, but it's there for you. Despite the delays and that the bill they're doing this work under in the state isn't as progressive as other state programs, I got the sense that the people serving on the commission, some of them doctors, are supportive of medical cannabis. They were really apologetic about the delays patients are experiencing. And something I haven't seen getting enough coverage is that the commission said they were going to go to the governor, to the legislature, to ask for 2 to 4 more licenses because they don't believe that the current supply is enough to satisfy demand. Let's go ahead and take a look at these awardees. If you click on this link to the Notice of Intent to Award documents, I've already got it pulled up here. Get to this page, which lists the winners. So for Class 1, that's Botanical Sciences LLC and Trulieve GA Inc. And the Class 2s are FFD GA Holdings LLC, TheraTrue Georgia LLC, Nature's GA LLC, and Trivana Remedy Inc. And if we look at this report of validated scores, it's basically a scorecard. What I found interesting here. Well, first, we can clearly see that the 2 winners, Botanical Sciences LLC, got a score of 970, while Trulieve got a score of 933.75. So those are the 2 winners there. But what I found interesting, I mentioned the 69 applicants earlier, but these reports showed just who that was. So you see some other big names going for after these licenses, like Curaleaf, like Verano, and that's pretty much what we see for the Class 2 licenses as well. And this is serious interest. If you open up one of these applicant requests here, I've already got it open. This request is over 2,400 pages long. So each of these companies put some serious effort into this. So after seeing this and talking to some people on Twitter, my tone has changed a bit on these licenses. My initial reaction to the announcement from the commission that there was going to be an announcement this past Saturday was lukewarm at best. I didn't think these were very attractive, but the piece I wasn't seeing earlier was that Trulieve now has entered the Georgia market and can start setting up their operations there before anyone else. So them being able to set up office space, building cultivation facilities and dispensaries, and starting to build that relationship with patients right now gives them a huge head start. So when medical cannabis or recreational happens in Georgia, they're already there with that experience of operating in the state and having that brand and that name recognition and that potential customer base. So this is big ups for Trulieve investors. But staying on the topic of Trulieve and Kim Rivers, there was an article from this Saturday recapping last week's events at the federal trial of her husband, JT Burnett. We touched upon this trial in a previous episode, and it has nothing to do with Trulieve, but it's sort of been this dark cloud that's been hanging around them for a while. I wasn't planning on bringing this up again, but Kim Rivers' name came up in the trial back from when she was in politics, and you might see some discussion around this online, so I thought I'd talk about it again. I'll link this below if you want to read it, but I don't want to go into too much detail here since it doesn't impact Trulieve or Kim at all. My analysis of the situation hasn't changed since last time. There's no legal action being taken against Kim Rivers or Trulieve, and I don't see that coming down the line either. Next up is another take on the stall on the cannabis program in New York. As you may know, New York legalized recreational at the end of March of this year. Not my favorite source here, but in this New York Post article that came out yesterday, there are some interesting tidbits just to catch up new listeners. The Cannabis Control Board of New York, which will oversee the sector, remains unstaffed, so things like awarding licenses are on hold. The appointees to these seats have to be confirmed by the state's legislature, which ended their session last month and won't be back until early 2020. So we have this quote here in this Post article on the lack of movement by Governor Cuomo's spokesperson, Richard Azzopardi. And this is specifically directed at the Post about the lack of movement. He says, "We agree there's a lot of unfinished business with the Senate, and we're ready to submit our nominations, and we hope they reconvene and act on these and other MTA legislation and nominations." The MTA is the Metropolitan Transportation Association. I'm completely out of the loop on New York politics, but it looks like there are some disagreements about the leadership there, so it looks like the politics in the state is getting in the way of staffing the control board, and the odds of a special session being called to do that are looking less likely. So I wouldn't expect any changes to the New York market until next year. But we've kind of already talked about what this means and who it's good for in a prior episode, so I'll leave it here on that. Next up, there is some ground being moved by GTI in Florida, though. This article from a few days ago, making the rounds today, shows the start of construction on a 28-acre site, which GTI will lease. This project has been delayed due to COVID, but once finished, this will give GTI a nice supply for the Miami, Florida region. This article says that this site is going to be at the interchange of I-75 and Northwest 49th. So Google map that, and that's around this area. So we can see that this might be a nice cultivation hub for the Miami area, as well as up north here in Fort Lauderdale. As a reminder, apologies, I'm still getting used to these transitions. As a reminder, Florida is MMJ only, and the operators have to be vertically integrated. So when we look at the MMU figures coming out of Florida every Friday, and we look at those, and on this show, we'll look at those numbers this Friday for the month of July. We see Rise is pretty low on that list, which is GTI's dispensary brand. So if you're an investor and you're kind of wondering what's going on there, and you want to see them grow that market share in that state, these are exactly the kind of moves we want to see them making. All right, that's it for today. Apologies for the production issues. Promise I'm working on those. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. If you feel this type of content will be helpful to other investors, please share it out to them or to places where you think like-minded people will see it. Word of mouth is really the only way I have to grow this podcast. If you want to get in touch, my Twitter is @MJMarkets. My Patreon is patreon.com/MaryJaneMarkets. But all I ask at this time is that you like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.